breaking news reaching us today. The New York Jets fired their head coach Robert Saleh. Um, my thoughts on this. Okay, well, Skip Bayless shared his thoughts. He said Robert Saleh was the Jets' second biggest problem. Their biggest problem through three more interceptions on Sunday and ranks 21st in QBR. Um, he was basically bundled out of the building, according to reports. Robert Saleh is first head coach in over 2 decades to be escorted out of the building by security after being fired. The team did not allow him to address his firing with the players. This is crazy, a complete mess.
I don't even know this. I mean, to be honest, this guy was reaching with this his role. And again, the Jets are very like not hitting or bringing the whole Dallas situation to you, but the Jets are quite a big team because of like the fact that they're in New York and like their history and all of that. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of expectations placed on them. Getting Rodgers, the defensive core that they have, very young, and also the offensive core that they have because the Hill, and then they also drafted some other young running back that has been performing
Braden
a
Allen.
lot. Bren Allen, a lot of expectations on them. So everything was like they put all the pieces together. It's just for them to have a coach to drive them to the finish line. And I really don't think, again, was the coaching issue, even though, like I mentioned earlier, I think this was too big a shoe for him to fill because the Jets are used to having personalities as their coaches.
Coaches.
And this guy was just very much like a coordinator, somebody who knew the game and was looking to just sort of um eh, like give
It's
that
epic.
knowledge kind of thing. But realistically, this is the situation where you need to one be able to carry the media, drive the agenda, also handle big personalities. Like Aaron Rodgers is not a small boy, so playing with him and like a lot of things that Stephen A highlighted is true. Like he hasn't been playing well. How do you combat him so that he performs better? Not necessarily he goes into attack mode and it's just like a confrontation between coach and QB. Um, yeah, but I wonder who they're going to get at this point in time. I wonder. Maybe Bill?
Yeah, the I think the defensive coordinator is the one who is currently the interim head coach. Um, I mean, clearly they are satisfied with their defense and how they've been performing. Most of their issues have come on offense. To Skip Bayless's point, Aaron Rodgers on Sunday threw 29 of 54 passes for 244 yards, two touchdowns, three interceptions. He was sacked three times for a total loss of 26 yards, and he had a 42.7 QBR. The Jets are currently 2-3. Last season, they finished 7-10. Um, I can't really blame them given how much they've invested in the team because I've been following the Jets for some years now, and in the past, it was always let me not even go too far back. Let me just stick to just the old starting QB, which was Zach Wilson, right? When Zach Wilson was there, it was always, oh, the quarterback isn't good enough. Look at Garrett Wilson. If you put him, if you pair him with the proper QB, he's going to be a superstar. etc. 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 You go and bring Rogers in, who is, I mean, up there with the best, right? And we are not seeing those things that we said we'll see. The first person who has to go is the head coach, right? Is similar to what my Manchester United are going through, sort of, right? Like bring bring this person, bring that person. The coach has assembled his team. Team is still not performing. Who goes? Is the coach, right? Because since they got Rogers, they've brought in Alan Lazar, who he's familiar with, and It's the other guy that I'm forgetting. I can't remember his name at this time. If I remember,
You have
I'll let
enough options, basically.
like
It's long and
there
short.
are weapons there, right? Um, yes, it's the running back, Brees Hall, right? I think that's his name. So
No,
like
Hall
they
was
have
there already. He was already there before. That was
no,
the guy
he
that was.
no, he came in when like they got Rogers. Then they drafted this other Allen guy
No, 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 no,
as a
no, no,
rookie running back.
no, no, no.
Was what
Bryce
they
Hall was already there. He was like the, I guess, like they had one star wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. Hall was the star running back. Then they got another running back in this draft, where it's like between him and Hall, it's almost like there's almost no difference between them. So the whole concept was that they plug in Aaron Rodgers unlocks Paul Wilson, and like you said, they brought in Lazaro and all these additional pieces to make him feel comfortable.
no,
Um, there was another crazy stuff that I saw in terms of comparing him against Zach Wilson, where basically like the number of points that they had scored between at this point last season and this season is pretty much the same where Zach Wilson was quarterback. And I find that very funny because um Aaron Rodgers in his career or history was always known as a gunslinger, high points, high yards, high touchdown rating. So
yeah,
realistically, this is made mainly about Aaron Rodgers not performing. And I don't blame him
yes,
because this is someone who has come from an Achilles tendon. He's in his
but
40s.
I kind
Like,
of blame him. I'll let you finish, but I'll tell you why I kind of blame
no,
him.
I'm saying I blame him in the sense that he is declining based on natural conditions, injury, age, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. But I blame the situation of putting Aaron Rodgers as your savior for this team because this team
yeah,
had been built to be a team, not built like to be sort of anchored around one person. So they would have done better getting somebody who could work within a team model, like sorry, like your Kirk Cousins, that kind of player who is not necessarily like crazy, going to be like flashy, but is going to consistently do what you need to do to move the yard and do things. Like it's funny again, your Sam Darnold, like that guy is now doing that in the
Minnesota.
Vikings. Yeah.
Hmm.
And he was one of those guys that they had on their books that where they always felt like he couldn't do the flashy and do all the creative. And sometimes you really just need a quarterback who's just going to get complete like a 60 to 80% in terms of his completion of yards and not turn the ball over.
Fair enough. But for me, why I'll say the jury is still out on the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers and why I don't feel like he has really helped is it was pretty obvious that um, this Robert Saleh, as you said, wasn't really managing the personality well. Aaron Rodgers had the injury last season, and like these guys, these like players these days in the NFL don't play during the preseason, right? Aaron Rodgers skipped that mandatory mini camp, right? I don't know how it went during training camp, but I know, but from listening to people who have played the game, right, that those team activities are where some of these like relationships build build up, where you iron out some of these like
Yeah.
things that
Get
could be
familiar with
the
their
game.
players.
Yeah. So the things we are seeing now, right? I still feel like some of those things, if he made himself more available to the team, would have been ironed out during the off
And
season before
you're
the
not
season
going to do
started.
that when you feel like you MVP, you're a gunslinger, you're just here to come in and save the team, that kind of thing. Like that's why I'm saying like the construct of the team wasn't right. They are a team focused organization. You don't then just plug in a superstar. You build a superstar. And if you look at Kansas, that's what they've done for consistently. They build a good team, and then they've built a superstar to drive that team. Everybody who comes into Kansas knows that, yeah, Mahone is the main guy, but it wasn't someone that they just plucked in and said, "Oh, you've been good over here, come and be good here." Like it just doesn't work.